In the announcements, everybody cool with calling it to order? Oh, we have, I guess we can talk about it. We have one alternate position available. I think that's all we need to discuss on that, right? Does anybody have anybody that wants to be an alternate anywhere? No. The secretary position is vacant, but I think Skylar has some news on that one.
Yes, I found someone to take minutes. Her name's Rebecca. She takes minutes for HAB and the Planning Commission. She charges $33 an hour. So it'd be about $66 each meeting. So one of the conditions is that we record these meetings so she can watch it later during work hours and record the minutes. So it's through Ad Staff, which is a temp agency out of Colorado Springs. So the city has used Rebecca before. Everyone seems pretty happy with her. She came highly recommended. So seems like a good fit for this group, but it would be spending some money to have someone take minutes.
Do we need to do a motion for that?
I think so, yeah.
Can we do that now? Anybody want to make a motion for that?
I will. I'll make a motion that we accept Rebecca as our new recording secretary.
Anybody want a second? Andrea, second. All those in favor say aye.
I'll third. I know it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Here is Robin. So is that unanimous? Did everybody say yes?
Yep.
Yep, unanimous. Cool.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes. Did everybody read the minutes? March 28th minutes, the last really nice minutes I think we'll probably ever have. The cool part about approval of the minutes is you get to see what is a really good minutes and you get to see really bad minutes. I'm the one who did the really bad minutes. So anybody want to make a motion? We can do them at the same time if you want, or separately.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'm not sure what you meant by separately.
Both meetings.
Oh, yes. Both
Oh.
meetings.
That's right.
Anybody want to second that?
I second it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And do we have to make Robin, do we need this for the record, Robin can be a regular member tonight? Is that cool with Robin? Cool. Let's go to C, the agenda review and public comment on non-agenda items. Does anybody have anything they want to add or subtract from the agenda? Cheryl?
Something to add. I'd like to review the term of our each
Nancy.
time. You know. No, this is different. Yeah, that didn't get added. I noticed about Nancy. Right? It's not on here, I don't think, on the agenda.
No, but her
Letter.
I
you know
noticed.
what? We don't have to approve members, I don't think, but her term limit or her term expiration has changed.
Yeah, I noticed that. And so but I thought that we had to discuss that. Well, that's not even what I was bringing up.
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
It's related. It's related. Let me tell you
Yep.
what my need is. I noticed that her term has been extended 3 more years, and so has AJ's. AJ?
TJ?
EJ. Yeah, DJ. And I was wondering about that because mine has been extended for 4 years and theirs is only 3.
That is a good question, and I can ask, or Skylar can ask, or we can let Seth ask Alicia.
Well, I've already emailed her and I just said, well, I think there's an incorrect thing here because see, all of the other 2 terms that I had were 3 years. And then she quoted some code about 4 years, but I noticed that Nancy is not that way and neither is TJ. Why is he called TJ? Oh, Tony. Okay.
Seems like everybody's kind of changed.
Well, oh, sorry. Turn that off.
Yeah, I think Alicia just updated all of these, and unless she was told you don't want to be a member anymore, or don't want your term extended, she just automatically added 3 or 4 years. I guess I'm not sure which, but that's something I can find out and ask so we know for sure.
Well, that's the number of years is what my question is, because
Yeah.
mine's 4 and so was Tim's. I mean, it was a year ago, but Tim's was put at 4 years from when he began. But the rest of you, it looks like, is 3. So, yeah, I just would like it to be accurate.
Yeah, that's a good
think-
point.
I think there's also just there's some overlap with like, what is the term of a chair position versus like your entire term? So yeah, it would be good for us to just clarify all that.
Yeah, but that's not
Okay.
what's on here. This is
Like
what
your,
her term is, and
Mhm.
TJ's is, it added 3 years to theirs.
Mhm.
But it put 4 on mine, it put 4 on Tim's when he joined a year ago, so he's up to 25. But see, I'm at 26, and even though they just now renewed, they're at 25, TJ and Nancy.
Yeah, we need to get some clarity on that.
Yeah, let me see what I can find out, and I'll send out an email to all of you.
Okay.
Thank you, Skylar.
Thanks.
Is there any public comment from on non-agenda items?
I have a question. What if you have a question, but you don't know where it goes?
What's that?
What if you have a question about something, but you don't know where it fits?
I think now would be fair.
yeah, no,
Okay,
it's good.
'cause I don't even know, the problem is I don't even know if we're allowed to ask this question.
We can
Because-
always ask, but if it becomes weird, we will have to like stop the discussion and put it on a future agenda.
Okay, I am just wondering what happened to, after all the hubbub and the late night we had for the executive session, whatever happened to that? It was like, we've heard nothing.
That is on the agenda tonight.
It is?
It is.
Yeah, I can
Creek Walk
tell you
Trail
more when we-
West Side. I put it on the agenda like that because I didn't know if we would have to have an executive session. And we found out after the agenda was published that we did not have to have the executive session.
Okay.
So I kind of was vague about what it was, but it's
Okay.
under number 2 on old business.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anything? Well, let's move on to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board update. The minutes are there, the agenda. Yeah, everything you need to know is in there. I have been going to the last couple meetings. I think we'll talk more about it in our for the land dedication thing. There's been a lot of back and forth between Parab and us and Planning Commission and the developers. So I think I can touch on that. Skylar, is there anything we need to know fresh from them?
The only thing, it's not specifically related to OSAC, but we do have a couple of public meetings coming up next month for Soda Springs Park and the pool feasibility study. Both of those are under the jurisdiction or guidance of Parab. So you guys are all welcome to attend. We want as much community participation as possible. So Soda Springs Park Phase 2, we're gonna meet at Soda Springs Park on May 9th at 6 o'clock. And then the following week, we'll meet about the pool feasibility study, May 16th, also at 6 o'clock, and that'll be at City Hall.
What is a feasibility study for the pool? What is it trying to figure out is feasible or not?
Yeah, trying to figure out what the long-term plan is for the facility. It's, deteriorating. It's got some major repairs that are needed. So we're kind of at that crossroads where we need to decide how much do we continue putting into it versus a major overhaul upgrade, or potentially looking at a different location in town. I mean, everything is on the table with this feasibility study. So I got some consultants to kind of do a analysis and listen to the community, understand what the recreation needs are and what the community would like to see through this process, and get some recommendations as the end result.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of like an old car. You know, you got to kind of figure out how much do you put into it versus replace it with the new one. And if we replace it with the new one, then we're talking multi-million-dollar upgrades, and that's why I'm asking the questions.
Right.
That's an
Makes sense.
expensive car.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, and you said the Soda Springs meeting was for what?
So phase 2, we're going to look at completing the rest of the park. There is a master plan in place. We did phase 1 last year. Now we're moving on to phase 2, that we're still in the planning stages. We'll probably start construction next year around this time, but we want to add some consistency for the entire park, and we'll see what that looks like. But we also have a landscape architect on board doing that master plan process.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Skylar. So on to E, Parks Manager report. I guess that would be you filling in for Seth.
Yeah. Sorry, Seth is out of town. He's on vacation, much deserved. So I'm filling in for him. So a couple things to update you on. He's been doing a lot of tread work on the Red Mountain Trail. Not sure if you've noticed or not, but take a look. He's done a lot of great work, just, you know, further defining that trail and making it more sustainable. So he spent a lot of his trail maintenance time on Red Mountain doing tread work. And then he also has put together sort of a project log that I believe I'll just leave it to him to update you guys on next month. But he's trying to figure out a way to better track the trail maintenance that he does and keep you guys, you know, in the loop and work with you on the maintenance that's needed. And then the other thing I was going to mention is the memorial bench application is live on OSAC's website. So Shannon, I believe we had someone in queue that we want to send that to. If you want to.
Yeah, Mary Kelly Moreland. I got your email and I forgot to send that link to you. So I'll get that to you, her info.
Perfect. That'd be great. And then I do believe we'll probably get one from Corey about the Emma Crawford Memorial as well. So we will have probably 2 applications to review in the near future. And then the other thing I was going to mention is I'm fully staffed. We hired an arborist. He started last week and he is awesome. He's got a lot of skills and knowledge that brings to Manitou. We've already been putting him to work. He's planting a bunch of trees this Friday for Arbor Day, and he's replacing a lot of trees along Manitou Avenue. And I'm gonna drive around with him tomorrow and start looking at some fire mitigation, especially at Deer Valley, and probably look at our trail system, the Indian Trail. So just kind of keep that, you know, in the back of your minds. We'll maybe come forward with you know, a more comprehensive plan once I kind of get through that initial assessment. But just FYI, we do have an arborist on staff and in the community.
Did you say
Awesome. What's his name?
His name.
Matthew Nelson. So he previously worked for the Woodmore HOA up in Monument. He was the arborist up there for a couple years. And then before that, he worked for Davies Tree Service out of Fort Collins and also Kansas City. So he's been a certified arborist for at least 10 years, brings a lot of knowledge and experience. So good to have him.
Cool. Thanks, man. It doesn't look like we have a city council liaison person here. So let's move on to new business. And Tim's not here. I was hoping that he would be here because he's been kind of the front man on the communication with this. So I think between me and Skylar, we might be able to fill all you guys in. I really don't have any idea what we need to do about this, but it's become an issue. And I was kind of worried that it might. So Black Canyon, Cedar Heights, you guys all are well aware that it went on all trails. As it came out like, hey, this is a really cool trail. You guys saw all the emails back and forth. Tim got them to edit it severely. They told him we're not going to take it off, but they did edit it. They took our name out of it, but they didn't take it out. And it's 90% of what's on all trails is on private land. So Mr. Martin, I think it's John Martin, is the guy who's in touch with Tim. He's pretty upset. I guess people are parking at the real estate office, and we don't even know. Nobody knows how they're getting over there, but Cedar Heights people have been seeing people on private land over there, looking over, just all over there. I don't think if they were on our land, they could even see Cedar Heights. But anyway, Mr. Martin told Tim about this. They've had a lot of back and forth. Seems very cordial. Everything's clicking along. And then Mr. Martin brought up to Tim that we do not have a recreation easement on that easement that we had surveyed under Mike Mayo. We paid someone to survey that and get it all recorded and official. And Mr. Martin sent some documentation to Tim that says this is a residential easement. You guys saw it in your packet for a lady. I don't remember her name. I don't know what that does to us. I don't know how that works. I know that we had an opinion from our attorney when we tried to use the easement across Beisel's property. And Mr. Parker said that it was not a specific easement for recreation. I don't know what to do about it. I talked to Mark Snyder yesterday because he's got a lot of historical knowledge, and he doesn't charge us money. And he said we need to talk to Jeff, but he said, yeah, there is. If it doesn't specify recreation, we could be in a pickle. Did I say that right, Skylar?
Yeah, I mean, that's my understanding as well, but this is new territory for me also, so I'm not quite sure how to handle.
This is kind of a really big deal because that makes it where we don't have any public access to the Black Canyon open space. Does anybody have any thoughts? I saw Mr. Martin in the audience at the very beginning, but I don't think he's there anymore. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Wouldn't that be something that you could submit to the city attorney?
I think we need to do that, but I want to make sure everybody's okay with sending it to the attorney. It sure seems like Cedar Heights wants something from us, like a no trespassing on our easement, but we don't even know if people are using that easement. I mean, the easement doesn't have a trail on it. It's not published that there is a trail on it.
Signs on their property.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yep.
It works. Okay. I mean, can't they put no trespassing signs on their property if they want people to not be on their property?
Right.
I mean, but that said, I think there's a lot of examples of places where, we just as good neighbors can use signage saying, hey, this is private property, say it nicely, but, please respect the private property owned by our neighbors or whatever. We could certainly entertain something like that.
And how do they know what's private, what's the easement, how do you do that part of it?
You hire a survey, which we did.
We hired the survey told us where the easement was.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the easement, apparently, and I do not know, but I know we've been down this before, is there's different types of easements. And I think they have to be pretty specific on what you're using it for. And Mr. Martin's last email was, you guys don't have a recreational easement. Tim countered by saying, well, what does that mean? And Mr. Martin said, you need to talk to your attorney. And that kind of scares me. So,
Where is this record of the survey and what kind of easement did this survey say we had? Where's the survey?
the survey we have, probably the city, it's probably filed with the city, but that just tells us where.
But not what kind of easement it is.
In your packet, there's an easement, the description of the easement.
Oh,
And that's where it says it's for, I don't remember the lady's name, for her to access her property, which I don't even know where that is. And I know it's got to be really old because there is no more property up there. So are you guys okay with sending this to Mr. Parker?
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Parker, our attorney?
Otherwise, if we just tell you something of what we would like to do here, like honestly, we'd just be making it up. So it'd be good to have real advice and guidance on this one.
Right. I think that's important. I don't want to tangle with Cedar Heights ever, because I know we need to establish a relationship with them in a good way going forward with any of our plans that we have. I mean, they have enough money to hem us up, and I don't want to tangle with them. So we'll get Skylar, you would be the point of contact to go to Jeff, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I have the easement in the packet. The survey Dylan probably has, right?
Right, because it should be, yeah, it should be in planning.
Okay. Any other documentation I need besides this email thread?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we ought to, once that happens, once Mr. Parker gets it, I think the question is, if it turns out it is only a residential easement, but does that mean we don't own it anymore? Or does that mean we could change the easement to a recreational easement? What does that mean?
Those are all really good questions, and I don't know the answer to that. I know we will always have, it could be an easement for fire. We can be an easement for certain things. But we need an attorney to tell us about that. So,
Because I think we need to know once that's established, whatever it is, we should know what our options are as well.
right.
If any.
I want to get our land acquisition committee back together to have our subcommittee soon. One to help, because I told Andrea we would get something for the next meeting, like a list of priorities and all that, and really look at how we can access this Black Canyon property if we don't have that easement. I know to the very south of that property, there's a whole bunch of CDOT little right-of-ways that go up that cliff. Those are public land, and we'll just have to look at that land acquisition and look at the maps and see if we can piece together any of that CDOT property. Because without a recreational easement across there, we have a piece of property that's landlocked. So anyway, I don't think any of us were on the board when that was purchased. So we can all say somebody else did this to us. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts? Nope. All right, well, let's move on to the land dedication at 183 Crystal Park Road. This is getting kind of crazy. So I went to the planning commission meeting. I'll just tell you guys what I saw, and I'm going to be objective about it. I went to the planning commission meeting when they presented all their stuff. There wasn't any tit for tat. It wasn't like I didn't have to get up and speak. Nobody really got up to speak. It was basically just to let planning commission know that these are what the developer wants to do in the future. There's so much going on. Like we are the very least of their worries, their land dedication. But it came up. I mean, they have to worry about parking. They have to worry about, everything. So it came up, and we started talking after the meeting, and I invited them to this meeting tonight. But I think they got the message that we don't really have to carve anything up today. Parks and Rec, so we were basically gonna ask for 1.5 acres of their property when they only have 9 acres total. So discussing with them after the meeting in a very unofficial capacity, we just discussed, hey, OSAC's big goal here is to get access to the creek on both sides. I told them exactly what the motion was. That's what we want. I talked to a couple of committee members, and people seemed to be curious if Parab would take up that land dedication for us, and we could kind of bow out of the situation and ask for a fee. That was put in my head that might be a better alternative. I went to the last Parab meeting. They still want a trail. They really want to rake these guys over the coals with a land dedication, but they said they would be completely amenable to asking for the land dedication, their pocket park, to encompass the creek. I went into Dylan and had him draw a rectangle of our dedication, and it was humongous. And putting it on the map.
Ours meaning you're talking about Parab's?
No, ours, OSAC's, our 19,000 square feet.
Uh-huh.
You put that onto that map anywhere, even making it a rectangle, a trapezoid, a circle, a triangle, it's a very large portion of land. So Parab wanted to piggyback, but we couldn't figure out, I mean, there was no way to put the land together without totally screwing up their property. So I guess the question is, if Parab is interested in encompassing the creek, what do you guys want to do?
To what end?
What?
What is the end goal here to accessing the creek? Are you saying that they're going to turn both sides of the creek into on that corner at Sutherland and
Like we had said, we wanted a little pocket park by the
Yeah.
creek.
right?
They said that they would take that on in their, because they have a much bigger entitlement. I hate to say that word, but
Okay.
they have a much bigger entitlement than we do.
So they're not pursuing this thing about sending a trail through the development. They're still
No,
trying to get that pocket park area.
They're talking about a pocket park, but they're talking about making it pretty big, but also stretching it into that area that we were wanting by the creek.
I
And so they-
think, I
Robin?
think that if we just give our, we take fees in lieu and let them take that corner on Sutherland, and if they can work out how much acreage they get, because they even get more than what we get, in acres. So I'm okay taking fees in lieu if we can get that some kind of taking their one whole lot, that'd be taking one whole lot of theirs. I mean, otherwise we would have to take at least 2 lots of theirs that they're trying to sell to pay for the renovation of the cabin. So, I mean, they are in a little bit of a pickle, I think.
They are, and so you guys know where I'm coming from. I mean, I'm not pro developer. In their planning meeting, they got up and did a big song and dance and woe is me. And, I understand how the game is played. But they said, they talked a lot about accommodating the neighbors, and they talked about accommodating the citizens. And I kind of wanted to see if that was true or not before we do any accommodation on our part. And I went and talked to the neighbors that butt up to that property, and these guys kind of have bent over for the neighborhood. They initially wanted 21 homes, and they took that down to 15, and then they went back and came back to 9. So they're down to 9. So I don't want to be naive and get in trouble with this later, but they have kind of bent over for the community to get this project done. I talked to a couple of people that spoke at the meeting in favor of this that are also neighbors, and just asked them, hey, what makes you so into this project? And overwhelmingly, everybody said, I don't know the developer. I don't really care about the developer, but I think they're the only ones that will get this done. and get it done the way the community wants it. So if that helps you with your decision, there's a lot of, I think, especially with Parab, like we're going to take what we can take no matter what, because they're developers. Honestly, I was like that too at first. So I think I've kind of backed off that, but I wanted to bring it to you guys and see what you guys thought about it.
Hey, Shannon,
Yeah.
can I share my screen and show you exactly what Parab's requesting? Just so
sure.
you guys can know. That
Yep.
might help guide your decision a little bit.
Did you let, oh,
Okay, can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see my little pointer here?
Yep.
Okay, so the original offer was for a pocket park in this corner.
Right.
That was from the developers. Parab made a motion. They had a special meeting last week. They are requesting these two lots, lots 14 and 15, as
Where?
well as access to the retention pond right here on both sides of the creek. So this is their motion, this or their request to the developers. So next steps for Parab is a joint meeting with the developers to review this request and see what's feasible and what isn't. Because that was the recommendation of the planning commission for next steps regarding the land dedication, is to meet with the developers face to face, get in the same room and review this map and you know what is realistic to them and what isn't. So I need to schedule that meeting, but before doing so, I wanted to know what OSAC would like to do. So now you know what Parab is doing and what their request is. OSAC needs to decide if you would still like to request land dedication, and if so, where, or take fees in lieu. So that's kind of what needs to come out of tonight. So I can take the next steps with the developers and Parab.
Okay. Who pays for fees in lieu?
The developer.
Developers.
So Para gets the property and the property we would have taken as part of their allocation then, and we get fees in lieu? Is that how this works?
No, we can either get fees in lieu or 5% of the property.
well,
They
Is-
can get 9% of the property or fees in lieu.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
They
in their,
don't get our land.
but in their 9%, they would include the parcel that we wanted. Isn't that-
Right, but that doesn't take away from our ask. What I went to their meeting and said, hey, if you guys, because it kind of, honestly, it kind of got sloppy. Like we were asking for that, if we put our rectangle where we wanted it, it took up all those lots and all the way over to that little green building on the right. So we were basically asking for the same thing. So I asked them if they would kind of, if it came down to it, would they amend their motion to include both sides of the creek? They said yes, because that's what we wanted.
Well.
So in other words, we wouldn't be overseeing this as OSAC land. It would be
Right.
part of their park.
Right.
The city,
it
but the
gives-
public would get the use of it.
It's accomplishing what we wanted without our hands on it.
And then we still get the fees in lieu.
And we get fees in lieu.
At what point do we have to say, no, we don't want that? I mean, the property that we were asking, the land dedication.
Tonight. We probably need to make that motion tonight. So the whole point of that planning commission meeting was for the developers to kind of get a temperature of everybody. And they need to know what we want so they can move forward with like really official plans. So then when they go through the application process, all that is kind of dialed in.
Do we have any kind of assurance that they would give Parab that?
No. City council is in charge. Planning commission and city council. If city council and planning says this is what you got to do, they got to do it. They don't have a choice. So it would behoove all of us to get one, no matter who asks for what, to go to the meetings or at least write a letter and say, we support Parab's land dedication request. And I could write that officially from OSAC.
But then city council, sounds like maybe if we did show up, some of us at least, that just so it doesn't get misconstrued or something.
Right.
Seems
No,
some
it's,
things
it's,
have been misconstrued lately.
it's pretty black and white, the planning process. Planning commission will make a recommendation based on all of our recommendations. And they have to hear from the developer too. If the developer can come in and say, hey man, those 2 lots are going to take $2 million away from us, and we really can't afford to do that. Planning can say, hey, Para, we're going to scale it, we're going to cut it in half. They can do whatever they want to do. The goal is to make the project feasible for everyone involved.
Right.
Looking at this though, if we're going to make a decision tonight, I think that we should really look through our criteria for open space and see if, like, because I'm not seeing a connective trail or anything like that. That's right on the corner there. It's not going to increase access really for a lot of our pedestrians or anything like that. So honestly, if this doesn't seem to really fit our open space criteria very well, then I think that we should be okay with the fees in lieu.
And you know what, TJ, that was the first thing someone brought up when this was brought to us a year ago by Christine Lowenberg. This is not really open space. And I know back then we had a conversation of maybe, because I don't think I knew that Parab had a dog in it, or whatever, someone in the game, however that phrase goes. I don't think I knew that. And I think I mentioned that maybe we should take it and then give it to Parab.
Yeah, so
Or-
why bother? Let them take it. I mean, why would you go that extra step if you don't have to? We don't have to give it to them because we don't have to acquire it and they can acquire it. I'll tell you something. I think personally, after watching so much of this play out with these with these 2 couples, I'd gladly let it go because I think it's hard on them. The community has not been nice to them, really hasn't. And I just see this as another problem. I don't see it as a benefit any way how OSAC can benefit from this. If it's a park, then it's a park. And I can see all kinds of problems with people starting to cross the creek and being on these, what will become private homes. I feel like it's, you know what, you guys want it, take it. I think we're much better off without it.
And what 2 couples were you referring to?
2 couples who are the developers.
Oh,
And they've been beaten up plenty. And I just have no taste for this. I think it's sideways to our mission and it's going to be problematic. And if Para wants it as a park, then they can deal with it. I don't see where it goes anywhere for us at all.
Shannon, what kind of fees are we looking at?
I think $15,000, roughly.
With our recent acquisitions and the maintenance that we've been able to fund through that kind of stuff, I think that I kind of agreeing with Judy here as well, and thinking that we can do a lot more for open space with that sort of funding than by trying to shoehorn something in this spot.
No, I agree too. I wanted to hear you guys, and just for the record, the applicants, the 2 couples, they have not been innocent in the mudslinging. So just for the record, the public's raking them over the coals, but they've kind of asked for it in every step of the way. OSAC really doesn't. We said it from the very beginning that this is not really OSAC property. The cool part about our acquisition criteria is it's vague for a reason. So when I wrote that memo, I wrote like why it met our acquisition criteria. But the vagueness of it, it really doesn't. But if I needed to write a letter, we can make it fit. The only thing that it really covers in our acquisition criteria is a riparian habitat. So, and it looks like Parks and Rec is going to do that. If Parks and Rec was not going to do both sides of the creek, I would say, hey man, let's maybe talk about a little strip there for OSAC adjacent. But I think everything's covered. I would like to see us do fees in lieu, especially because number 2 is gonna kind of make the whole fees in lieu make way more sense to everybody.
Mhm.
Can I-
Andrea, do you have Andrea or Robin? Do you guys have go ahead, Robin.
Well, I was just going to make a motion to take the fees in lieu.
I'll
Sounds
second.
great.
I'll second.
We have a
that.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? Anybody want to say anything? Nope. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
I,
I don't know if we have to say aye. Do we have to say aye? Just raise your hand. I don't know. It seems official if you say aye.
You just need a number.
A
That's it.
number. So it's unanimous. Everybody voted yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
What's that, Tim?
yeah, first of all, sorry I was late, but
No,
I'm still out in Boston. So anyway, Seth, Skylar, Seth. One thing that you want to mention, might want to mention to the Parks and Rec people is those lots that they want to take, those first 2 lots, those do not go down to the creek. So if they're trying to get both sides of the creek, they're going to have to do something besides that. I don't know why they've got their sights set on the retention pond, but seems like kind of an odd thing that's intended to flood. So
Tim, let me read the full motion to you.
what-
Request land for park space to include the following areas: lots 14 and 15, and the area surrounding the retention pond up to the bridge that will allow for creek access on both sides of the creek in those areas. So
okay.
that's their motion. So they are asking for creek access on both sides.
Okay, well, that's entirely up to them. I just wanted to mention that those lots don't include that. But that's
We'll see
fine.
how it plays out.
Yeah. Okay.
Should be a fun meeting.
Yeah. Should be.
And we won't be involved. That'll be great.
Hey guys, would anybody mind if we went back to number 1 under new business? Now that Tim's here, Tim, is everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Tim, we went over the Black Canyon Cedar Heights thing.
Yeah.
I did my best, I think. But I wanted to, could you just kind of tell us what went on between you and Mr. Martin from Cedar Heights about the easement? We talked about all trails and your work there and getting them to back off. But I'm kind of unclear on how to describe the easement issue.
And thanks to Corey as well. He also wrote a letter, so we were double teaming
All trails.
and they were very responsive, as it turned out. They wouldn't take it off, but they made some good changes. As far as the easement goes, I really have a hard time understanding how they make that an issue for us right now. The big thing they're upset about is that they've got trespassers up there, but the trespassing isn't happening either. It's certainly not happening because of any trail that we've supported. Primarily people are walking up along the old wagon trail over there, but that doesn't cross into their land until it's already over onto Cave of the Winds land. So there's that. And the fact that nobody's hiking on that easement, that easement only exists on paper, and a couple of surveying flags going in there. There's no trail or obvious pathway there, so I don't know. They seem to want to be upset about somebody, and I think we're the closest, meanest dog to kick, and so that's about all that is.
so Tim, there's no trail showing up, when you go up there, there's no trail on the easement?
Right, there's no trail at all there.
Because I'm not quite sure where this easement is. Back to Shannon looking at a map and we're seeing where the easement is, because with the pollinator project, I have been up there and I was on the wagon road, but so I don't know where this easement is.
You
So
were-
I was
You were
curious.
probably trespassing. But there's no markings up there to show, well, actually, there are some corner markings if you really look for them, but it's not obvious when you're crossing over into Cave of the Winds property and from Cave of the Winds over into Cedar Heights property.
Oh, so the easement is all the way up there because we were leaving from
No,
the
no,
road.
the easement goes from Black Canyon Road, the old road. If you just keep going past the gate up there, that's Black Canyon Road as well. It's unpaved at that point and washing out. It's not being maintained at all. And if you go up there about a couple hundred yards, you'll see a kind of sort of rough road taking off to the left. And that dead ends up there with a big berm to stop any kind of motor vehicle traffic. And then after that, the easement kind of winds up there and catches the northwest corner of our open space, tags into that. And it's a 60-foot wide easement that winds through there. That's completely not a trail. It is surveying easement at this point. There's nothing that makes it obvious where it's at. So the idea that people are crossing into Cave of the Winds, or excuse me, to Cedar Heights along that non-existent trail is,
Probably
it doesn't make sense. And I don't, and I'm trying to be politically easy with Cedar Heights, and I think I have been, but that's all we can say is that nothing that we have done has led to trespassing up there by intention. Or
So basically, it's safe to say that the trespassing might not be trespassing because of our easement, but the trespassing has brought attention to the easement.
well, the only people that even know about that easement are people that have looked at that survey or are cognizant of this conversation. So we, Cedar Heights, and maybe a few other people, certainly Medicine Wheel, are aware that there is an easement up there connecting the Black Canyon Road, which is Colorado Springs property, to Manitou Springs, Black Canyon open space.
Well, and
Nobody
City of
else
Colorado
knows.
Springs Parks and Rec, they're the ones who gave us a key to it, right?
Colorado Springs Park and Rec.
Yeah, they're the ones who supplied us with the key to get up there.
Yeah, Michael, myself, Dave Diedemeyer, and Corey was with us on a early recon of that easement.
Right.
And Dave Diedemeyer is from Colorado Springs Parks and Rec.
Oh, Colorado Springs Parks and Rec. Yeah, not
So-
our Parks and Rec.
Another question, Tim, like reading that easement, should we assume that this easement was a driveway to a possible property some time ago?
Okay, if you read the easement, what it says is it's giving
Residential access.
access to, well, they don't say residential access. They say access to Catherine somebody, I forget her name, to cross over that property in order to have access to her property on the other side. So we need to get a legal understanding of that to see if maybe Cedar Heights does have a point that ours is not the kind of access that allows unrestricted access to bicyclists and hundreds of people whatever. I don't think that's the case. Mike Mayo doesn't think that's the case, but as you mentioned, there is some precedence for thinking that, so we need to get a legal opinion.
And before you joined, that's what we discussed. And I think Jeff Parker, his main goal, and I meant to say this last time, his main goal, and I was, pretty like the whole Steve Beisel thing that he told us we can't cross his land. His job, Jeff Parker's job, is not really to tell us what is legal and what isn't. He's trying to keep us out of spending money on lawsuits. So like his thing with Beisel is yeah, you could probably interpret it as you could, but as your attorney, I strongly advise you not to do it.
That's an interesting distinction. Yeah.
Right. So
I think we've got a no, I'm sorry, a title commitment on that, a title policy on that. So it's possible that, I'm not sure who the policyholder is. I got a copy of it. It's possible that our title company could help us with that. Save us some money. I don't know if they will give us a legal opinion on that particular issue, but they have guaranteed the good title on that, and so they might be willing to talk to us about that.
And was anybody on this committee when the land was purchased? I don't think this easement didn't even come up to us until 2 years ago. We didn't even know about this easement till.
What about Nancy? Could she have been?
She might have been.
And I guess my other
Helped
question.
write the grant for it. Nancy and then Nancy Fortune.
And Mark Snyder had some memory of it, and he said the easement would be very sticky for us. Yeah. So anyway, Tim, I wanted everybody to be able to ask you questions if they needed to. So any questions for Tim?
Yeah, I do. So let's just say the title company says, yeah, this is solid. That still doesn't, I don't think, mitigate our problem here, which is we don't want to tick off the people at Cedar Heights. So if we don't want to tick them off, and this is a whole just kind of a questionable issue already, would we be better off getting that legal opinion and letting the attorney kind of give us that same side advice? Title company's not going to give you side advice. They're just going to say, this is this and this is not this. The end, because that's all they do, right?
They're pretty black and white. In my opinion, the title company is really black and white, and our attorney is trying to protect our tax dollars.
Yeah.
As he cashes our check.
Well, I'm not sure that we want that out of Jeff Parker. I think what we want to ask him is our position that we can use this as a right of way for unrestricted access defensible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're back to we need to talk to the attorney to discuss this, because while I agree that we want to be good neighbors and everything like that, I also want to make sure that they're not trying to run roughshod over us and get their way in excess of what they might be entitled to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far as the good neighbor thing, I think we've been a good neighbor, and that takes it out of our hands directly. We're not
the bad guys.
Well,
right.
We're not the bad guys, and it's what the attorneys say. So.
But Shannon, we'll still get the land subcommittee together so we can take a look at that map.
Right. Yeah.
So that
I
we can
still
see
think
that
that's
easement and get a picture in my mind.
Tim and I had said we're going to do the land acquisition subcommittee. We'll have one of those meetings sooner than later. To kind of look for other access to Black Canyon in case this kind of falls in our face, because that's a big piece of property to be landlocked.
Yeah.
Can I ask, I mean, and I would ask Alicia too, but If there are subcommittee meetings, if whoever makes the Zoom link can send it to everybody on the OSAC committee.
Yeah, we can. And you know what we'll do? The land acquisition subcommittees, we do them in person. So we can, like last time we did it at Trails End. So yeah, if everybody wants, I don't care who comes or whatnot. It was posted last time. We did it at Trails End on like a very cold Sunday. So when we'll get that together, let's get everybody, because that might kill two birds with one stone. Anybody who wants to come can come, and then we'll kind of put together a report for the whole committee if you can't make it. Does that make sense?
And they should be open to the public too.
They
So,
are. Yep.
Yeah. So I just mean like, so we have the information to tell people that might be interested.
Yep. So you want to go back to old business. Number 2, the Creek Walk Trail on the west side. So this is basically the bottling plant property. And Skylar, you want to?
Well, yeah, so we put this on the agenda because I thought I would have a better update for you. But I was told a couple hours ago that we're not able to talk about it publicly yet. So I would just kind of leave it at that. It's in motion. We're making progress, but need to table it for now, and we can revisit next month.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just so everybody knows, and I think we can, well, this number 2 is getting ready to blow our budget on land acquisition. So keep that in your head. We're doing fees in lieu. That's great. I think we would have had a really hard time passing up fees in lieu, optically, politically, and then spending all of our budget. So I think we made a good decision on number 1. So that takes us on to number 3, the Martin property, Tim, and that is the piece of property in between the creek and fields, the ball field, the baseball field off Becker's.
Yeah, I contacted, through a chain, I contacted Robert Martin, who's the son of Bob and Raynell Martin. And he said things have deteriorated quite a bit with Bob. So meaning that he's going to have to get permanent care for his mental disabilities that are going on right now, age related. And he also indicated that they had some commercial interest in that property. Some commercial interest was offered on that property. But anyway, I made the offer at $25,000. And once we talked for a little bit, and it was obvious that they're not in a hurry to make that decision, although this may push it up a little bit on their agenda. I don't think it's going to be 2 years before they try to sell that property. But anyway, so he's got the offer. I told him it's not going anywhere. If he'd like to come back with a counter, I don't know how much further we can go up or anything, but he's welcome to do that. He's welcome if he gets an offer from a commercial offer that we would like to know about that and have the opportunity to make an offer that might be, if we had the ability to make a better offer than that. So anyway, everything's on the table and it's open, and we'll see when we hear from them. Yeah. I don't think there's any way we can push that.
Nope.
Probably good that it's taken a little time now. So
Yeah, we'll know a little bit more where we're at.
budget wise, yeah. So anybody have any questions about that? Nope. Number 4, trail and trail maintenance. Sounds like Seth's working on a whole bunch of stuff. He's not here. We don't have to worry about that. Andrea, do you have anything for us? Any subcommittee stuff?
Nope, not really. I worked on starting a calendar, which I will pass on for the next meeting. But other than just kind of going on with trail maintenance that Seth is working on, that's great. So
Awesome. Thanks.
I-
Open space. Oh, yeah,
I
go
just had
ahead.
a real quick question with the trail maintenance subcommittee and all that kind of stuff. Just saw online that the Pikes Peak cleanup crew has rebranded themselves as the Pikes Peak Trail Crew for doing a lot more trail work and stuff like that. Have they approached City of Manitou Springs about doing any work, or is there going to be anything like with Manitou Cats about having a MOU with that group?
So is that group led by April? Does that ring a bell?
It's not the one that I believe it's the guy's last name is Becker.
Trevor Becker.
Trevor Becker, yeah.
Okay. I don't think he's reached out to me. I got contact from someone named April who wants to do some fire mitigation, volunteer work, and trail maintenance. And I didn't know the name. We've been playing phone tag, so I haven't connected with her yet in her group. But I've also, Shanti reached out and scheduled a meeting with myself and Elizabeth with the high school to look at a trail over there. So that's in a couple weeks. But besides that, that's been my only contact with Manitou Cats.
Is this person April just a person, or she has a group, you said? What is that? One person?
So supposedly, supposedly she's part of a group, a big volunteer trail building cleanup coalition group. That's about all I know right now, though.
Cool. Thanks. Maybe Skylar, I don't know if are these people that come like kind of out of nowhere wanting to do trail stuff? Would it behoove them to maybe come meet us, introduce? I mean, is that micromanaging, or is that a good idea, or just so we know as a committee who's doing what and where? And
Yeah, so that's a good question. So my experience with volunteer trail companies is I'd like to spend some time with them in the field first and see if they're legit or not, how much experience they've had, what they can do. It's bad to say it like this. I just don't always trust volunteers to maintain trails at a level where we want it. So there will be a filter process right off the bat. And then, yeah, if we're looking at an MOU or some long-term trail adoption program or something, then we should probably come to you guys at that point.
awesome, you're on it.
Yeah, that sounds great, because the previous group, we've invited them to propose to us 2 times now for support for helping clean up supplies and things like that, for helping clean up debris or garbage on some of our open spaces. And they've just not come through completely. They've ghosted us both times. So I just, seeing that they were rebranding as a trail organization kind of got my attention. And so perhaps it may be a better fit for them in doing that, but I just had some issues with reliability with them in the past. So I was just, it was concerning.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is I usually like to have trail building days under the supervision of city staff. Now that we've got Seth and Bella on my staff, who are both skilled trail builders, we would probably schedule a volunteer trail building day under the supervision of our staff. And then, with these groups, at a minimum, they can adopt a trail and help, pick up trash or pull weeds or do some very, very minor trail maintenance on the, the edges and things like that. So that's probably where I'd start with some of these groups. And if they want to do a trail building day, then I'd want my staff there overseeing.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions or comments or thoughts? Nope. The open space management subcommittee report, we haven't really done anything with that, have we?
Mm-mm.
Does anybody have anything pressing that needs to happen with that? Do we have, or is anybody concerned about our lack of doing anything?
Well, I think we are kind of doing something. So, but so Skylar, you were saying at some point, I don't know, a month or few ago, about just how the scattered open parcels might be a project that you guys are working on. Is that happening or
Yeah,
maybe
we
will
have
happen?
started. Yeah, we've started.
Okay.
It's slow going, and I kind of wish we would have gotten more done before the busy summer growing season is here, but it'll probably be a project that we'll chip away at. But the goal was to take inventory of all of our scattered open space parcels, and just kind of have that big spreadsheet of how we catalog them, and just kind of define what use they are to us. So it's an ongoing project, and it will just keep chipping away at it, but we have started, yes.
I have one question on these scattered parcels. I mean, some of them are really tiny. And when I first joined, I was confused. How did we get these? I assume that it just was a strange lot and it was just given to Manitou and Manitou put it in the open space. Am I right? That's what it looks like.
A lot of those historically, since the beginning of time, were donations or a tax grab, or something was happening somewhere near it and they thought maybe this would help to connect it someday. We still are looking at some of those that look completely crazy to ever have, but 50 years down the road, something might happen in between and that becomes a trailhead. So there's some pretty random ones. I mean,
And I know that Dylan has been pretty busy and stuff, but has there been any progress of the things that we had originally thought were open space and then we looked at and turns out that they weren't, like, when we were talking about the Bill Bowers Park, connector?
I don't think anything's happened with that at all in planning. I was going to bring that up in land acquisitions and donations. And I think, especially with the West Side Trail thing that might be happening with the Creek Walk Trail, I know that used to be open space between the creek and Higginbotham and is now not open space. I think we probably need to, I don't know if you guys want to have a land acquisition committee do this or the open space management committee do this, but kind of prioritize where we want to hit planning up to classify them back to open space. I think the Bill Bauer is a high priority, and I think the one by Higginbotham to the creek is a pretty high priority to get those back into our inventory. And I think maybe land acquisition, when we have that big meeting with the big maps, I think that would be a good time to do it. I don't care who does it, but I think a meeting in person with a big map where you can like draw on the map will really help us with that. So what do you guys think about that? Because I think we need to get on their radar. I know they have, this is probably the last thing on the planet that they want to do or have in front of them, but I think we need to get on their schedule to get, because we have to go in front of planning commission to do that too. And then it has to go to city council. So it's a very big process. They're not long meetings. I mean, it's usually can be done in a consent calendar, but has to have 2 meetings and public comment, blah, 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 blah. So land acquisition, you guys like that?
Mhm.
Be a collective effort too. but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
But land acquisition, we could kind of get it
Talk about
packaged
it that
smaller
meeting.
and then bring it to the group maybe. So. Did anybody else have anything from open space management? Nope. Land acquisitions and donations, I think what's that? I think I just said what I wanted to say for land acquisitions. subcommittee report. We need to have a meeting pretty soon. I'll send out an email to everybody and have some kind of, maybe we can do it, maybe we can have the whole open space committee come to it and look at the maps. I think it would be good to do it in person at a place where we can like be creative, drink a beer, and chat about everything, because it's real casual, I think, in my opinion. So
I want to just say that I don't think, having been to that meeting, that we used our time very well, because it was really hard to see the map because you're either looking at it right side up or upside down, which made no sense. And it was noisy, and it wasn't really, I thought, very profitable. And I would suggest, I mean, I know everybody likes a beer here and there, but I think we need to go someplace where we can put the map up on a dry erase board or a wall or anything where everybody can look at it right side up, and it's quiet enough that everybody can talk, and it's productive because people are all looking at the same thing in the same direction, which I found looking at it upside down was useless.
I agree with you, Judy. The Trails In thing, I had never been there. That was suggested by a member of the subcommittee that didn't come to the meeting. So I was kind of caught off guard when we went to that and didn't have a meeting space or a table that was bigger than 2 feet. And we had to do it outside in a tent in 20-degree weather.
Well,
So
even if we hadn't, I didn't think the whole meeting was productive because it was too difficult. And
I'm agreeing with you.
I would suggest, and as an example, I don't know if this is a good idea, but if the Magnuson, that's at the bottom of the hill here, not the one down the road, they have a really great meeting room with this huge dry erase board that goes all the way across the width of the room. Plenty of chairs and tables. You can crowd around the map. You could get back. There's tables where you could write. And
Well, we could use City Hall too. So
can you get a board up on City Hall?
we
you
can
get
do
a-
whatever we need to.
Okay, well, even that, I think would be much more conducive, quiet. We don't have any competing noise. People can move around, but we can all see the same thing at the same time. And there's tables to write on. I think that's really helpful.
I get you. Trails In was a bad idea. It didn't work out. And I apologize for that. I will never do that again.
Well, you didn't do it, and when nobody knew. But what I'm saying is, I think we really need to find a meeting place, not a compromise because somebody can have a beer or not. I'll be glad to bring.
I don't think that was the point, but I got your point. So I'll send everybody an email out and we will do this in City Hall or somewhere that's big and open and works for everybody. Sound good?
Mhm.
Yep.
The Bill Bauer connection, that has to do with land, the subcommittee report, and we have a lot of stuff to reclass now. And I think once planning director and planning department is more staffed, I think we can approach them with that. You guys agree with that?
New planning director started today.
Sweet.
She's great. She's a good one.
Do you think she'll make it till Friday?
Ask me again on Friday.
Great.
What's her name?
Cool.
Her name's Hannah, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she was with the Colorado Springs Planning Department for 7 years before here. She's been in planning for 12 years total, so she brings a lot of experience. She's great.
Awesome. The Eitel property update on that, you guys saw all that information. Do you guys want me to read over that for you? I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I want you to read it, but no.
I'm kidding. Does anybody have any questions? You need to tell us anything, Skylar?
Nope, just those are the closing documents. Done, it's over.
Done and over. So
Okay.
is that money out of our account?
I believe so. I guess I can double check.
Cool. Then the future agenda items, anybody have anything we're gonna need to talk about? I think next time, are we having an executive session, Skylar, on this?
I will let you know. I don't think we will need an executive session next time,
Okay,
but that's me being optimistic. So we'll see.
gotcha. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about on the next agenda? Andrea, I'm sorry that I did not get the land stuff onto here, but I started looking at it. I'm like, wow, I can't do this without more hands and heads involved. So, and I think you're right. I think we should do this with everybody instead of it. We can call it a subcommittee, but I think it's important for everybody to be there because it's really the core of our being is acquiring land. So we'll
Clarification.
figure that out.
Clarification, back at the very beginning when I was talking about those terms, did you say then that as far as Nancy goes that, I mean, she said she wrote a letter.
She has a letter. It's not in our packet. So I don't know. I don't think we have to approve that though. I think it's a consent calendar thing for city council. And I think it just comes back to us. I mean, technically city council can appoint someone without us even meeting them.
So what is her status? That she's a member but not leading?
She's
it?
a member still.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's out of town. So we
Right.
can't hold that against her. Hey, you know what? I just thought of something. What do you guys think about this? Our next Monday meeting, we do it in person at City Hall and talk about, like, devote most of the meeting to this land acquisition stuff. That would kill all the birds with one stone. And we can trim the fat on the other pieces of the meeting.
Is
Well-
that going to be moved? Because that would normally be Memorial Day, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Would it?
Well, usually the last Monday is Memorial Day.
So there's 5 Mondays in May.
Okay.
So it'd be the
Okay.
week before. With in-person meetings though, we got to figure out how to record it though for the minutes.
Okay. Can we, we'll figure that out. Would you guys be cool with that? Because I don't think then we don't have to worry about beer or tables or a separate meeting.
And will we be able to include Skylar getting back to us on the bottling plant property?
Yeah. I think we could trim a lot of this meeting up and just discuss. I will be meeting with Skylar or Seth before we do the agenda, and we can trim out all the stuff that's unnecessary and just talk about land acquisition and pressing issues.
Okay.
Is everybody cool with that?
Okay. Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Nope. All right, I think we can adjourn. So you guys have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Andrea, I just want to know, am I negligent? Are we not doing something we're supposed to be doing?
No, we are not negligent. Or at least you're not.
I don't know what's happening on this. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just started making like a draft